People, you know it is Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one. And this one is Trial by Theory. Is the Night's King the last hero? Or should I say, is the last hero the Night's King? And this is a Reddit theory, and you know how we do on Trial by Theory. We go through these theories and we break them down, and it's up to you to be the judge and say at the end, is this theory good or is this theory bad? What up to all my people out there watching us live? I know this is some impromptu shit. I have not, I gotta get better at this scheduling shit. I don't be scheduling shit. I just be jumping on this motherfucker, but my life has been a little hectic. I'm trying to get away from that, but right now, and that's what I'm using this for, distraction. So thank you all to the people out there for giving me this distraction to talk a little bit about Game of Thrones. And we will set up a schedule, and we will do these more frequently, I promise, because things will be getting back in order. But as always, let me introduce my co-host, my right hand. And as always, you know my right hand is on the trigger. My ninja, the king of the north, Moji.
What's going on, folks? It's Moji, the king of the North. It's Moji, the baby. And we here to give you everything we got, man. What's going on, Teflon?
You know what it is. Trying to make a dollar out of 15 cents. Chitty chitty bang bang sitting on the fence. What up to AK47, Alicia Kingston holding down the live chat? What up to my man Rich Shatwell III? What up to Ed Brenda Star out there? We are going to see if this is even possible. Listen, this is not my theory. Mo, before we even get into this theory, do you think it's possible that the last hero could be the Night's King?
Of course, anything's possible. Anything's possible. If you could turn a dollar out of 15 cents, then we could turn the last hero into the Night's King. I mean, this is what it's all about. It's the bareback barbarians. We always break these theories down.
No doubt about it, no doubt. So we're going to go through this motherfucker. You know what I mean? We're going to go through this motherfucker, and we're going to figure this out. If the last hero is the Night's King, put my big ass drink down, my beautiful thug mug right there. Let me put that down for a second. So before we go into this theory, is the last hero the Night's King? I guess for people who might not know who the last hero is, we will go down a little breakdown of the last hero, and I'm going to read the Westeros.org link about the last hero from the wiki. So something that everyone, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, most likely has already read. And if you don't know, then I will read it for you right now so we can learn a little bit about the last hero. Now it says the last hero of the first men lived during the long night according to Westerosi legends. It is unknown if there is a connection with Azor Ahai, a person who saves the world from darkness in the legends of Essos. So right there, let me ask you this, Mojini. Do you think there is a connection with the last hero and Azor
Ahai? See, all we know is the children of the forest did their thing. They're the ones who brought magic into the world. We know on the show they're the ones that created the Night's King. And D&D wouldn't have had that information unless George R. R. Martin gave it to them. They couldn't have just came up with that assumption themselves. Could they, Teflon?
Never.
Never. So if George gave them the hot potato, then the potato's gonna be hot. I definitely think it's possible because the children are basically the gods of this situation, man. What do you think?
I think that it is a good chance that most likely it is. I mean, if you defeated them, and we know that Azor Ahai was the person who defeated them, so why wouldn't it be the same person? But I think that when you it's just the same telling of a story in different lands, and kind of like when we seen in the season the season before that, and we've seen the actually Mercy chapter, and we see the way Ned Stark was depicted. When Arya was watching, we've seen the way Joffrey was depicted, how wrong it was. Now, this is just across a couple of oceans or a sea, whatever you want to call it. And this is recent time, and they had those characters that wrong. So how will you think that the story would change all over thousands and thousands of years? So I think it's quite possible that when you're trying to get someone to follow you or follow a religion that you're doing, it's best to make that person in that religion look like you or look like that person so they can relate to them. You know, you see that with Buddha, the way Buddha transformed before when it was India all the way to when it got over to the East Asia, totally different. It changed its look for the people. So that's the way it goes. So it could be a situation like that going on here with Azorahide and the Last Hero.
Most definitely.
All right, so we shall get more into the legend of this Last Hero real quick, and we shall see what it is. It says, legends of the North state that the Last Hero and his companions went in search of the children of the forest during the long night, thousands of years ago. The only survivor of companies after attacks from giants, whites, and others, the Last Hero eventually reached the children and gained their assistance. The Night's Watch then formed and won the Battle of the Dawn, the generation-long winter, and sent the others into retreat, possibly to the lands of always winter. The fate of the Last Hero is unknown. So, from here in this situation right here, Mo, we know that we don't know what happened to the Last Hero after he defeated the others. But interesting enough, we hear here that he was attacked by giants, whites, and the others. So we see back then, all the way back then, I think a lot of people suspected that these guys were warging everything that they could, bring back to life anything that they could to fight mankind. And to me, this was the children of the forest who were responsible. As obviously we've seen what we've seen in the show, but they were still down with the others. And I think they would help resurrecting shit and fighting them on behalf of the others too. That's how bad I hate them motherfucking children of the forest. What do you take about that from the legend of this man, the Last Hero?
What do I think of the legend?
Yeah, what do you take from it? Do you think when you look at what do you think happened to the Last Hero after this was over? I should say it's probably a better question.
After he defeated the forces in the lands of always winter, we're assuming. Where was the lands of always winter, right?
Yeah, the lands always win beyond the wall.
Yeah, when he did all this, we're assuming these were this were not mythical stories, but actual fact. Probably the first men were given the first accounts of what happened to this guy. We don't know the full extent of what he did. We do know the children of the forest were involved. So what I'm thinking is maybe he went and joined the children of the forest and he became like a deity where they worshipped his body in that spot. I forgot the name of that spot where the children of the forest are supposed to be, where you think they're hiding. What is it, the God's Eye?
The God's Eye, yes.
I think he might have went over there and died over there, and he stayed over there, and they worshipped his dead body like a deity or something. Because we don't know what happened to him. So this is my guess. What do you think?
We don't know. Let me give shout outs quick to the people I'm seeing in the chat real quick. Couple of people. Tyrion Jr., Landstalk, what up? What up to Quentin Gilliam? I ain't seen you in a hot second. Also, another ninja I ain't seen in a hot second. Don of Ice and Fire, what up to you? What up to Sir LT Giles? What up to my dark sister? What up to Bernie the Burnt? What up to y'all? You know, it's interesting not knowing exactly what happened to this man. And it is a mystery, so I really can't give you an exact thing saying what happened to him. So that's why we're going to go into this theory and see exactly what this person is saying. What up, Preston Cox? I see you right there, brother. We're going to see exactly what this dude was talking about. You know what I mean? And see exactly. Now, I'm going to the first Reddit post. Hopefully, I can find this person's name on the Google search. It says, spoilers, Maine, the Night's King is actually Last Hero. Reddit post. It was posted August 26, 2017. So a newer theory here, nothing that was out. When I look down at the other posts, don't see a lot of these theories that this came back a long time ago. What up, Al Rick 76? You know what I mean? So this is a newer theory. I love seeing newer theories about theories, because I'm sick of these old ones being rehashed all the time, especially mine. So this is from Reddit. What is it? It may be, I don't know if I can pronounce this. You something. I don't know if I can pronounce his name, but hopefully I will have the link in the description so you can go and read this out yourself. You know what I mean? And see exactly what's going on there right now. You know what I mean? Hope everyone's drinking and having a good time. Real quick, you know what I mean? So is the Night's King actually the last hero? Before we go into this real quick, let me ask the chat, before we start this theory, do you believe that the last hero is actually the Night's King? Yay or nay? Put it in the chat so I can read that out. And as soon as I do that and go through a couple, we will definitely get right into this theory and figure this out, exactly what's going on. I don't know, Mojini. I think that the time could be off, but we shall see. You know, because we don't exactly know if the Night's King was around during the first long night. We don't know a lot about it. So it's definitely, we don't know. Albert says yay. Linda says nay. Rich Sadwell, nay. Quentin, nay. Edward Blanco, nay. Sir LT Giles, LOL. Lucio Mafia, nay. Quentin Gilliam, nay. Raymond Turner says the show must go on. Mel of Winterfell, nay. Sir LT nay for him too. Black says nay. Bernie the Burnt with the big thumbs down. Dow Caesar TV, nay. The Don Vice Finder says the Night's King equals the Night's last hero equals Bran the building. The builder, building. The fucking builder, the builder. Brenda Starr says maybe. Rick James in the motherfucking house says maybe. Says nay. You know what I mean? Let's see right now. Mo, you gotta mute yourself when you're not. No, he's all right. We be good with that. Joanna K says yes. So we shall see who is right and who is wrong, and who the people say. After we read this, hopefully this can change our mind and see what's going on. Mojini, you ready to get into this?
Yeah, how many people we got in the chat? I want all y'all to smash that like button for your boys. How many we got, man?
We got a bunch of people out here chilling with us tonight. A bunch of people out here hanging out with us. So here we go. Let's get into it. Mojini, they want you to, you're saying you're eating chips or something. They can hear you. I want you to mute yourself unless you're talking. And here we go. Are you ready, Mojini?
I got y'all.
All right. This is the theory. Is the Night's King actually the last hero? I've always found the story of the last hero odd. After years, he finds the children of the forest, and then somehow the White Walkers are defeated. If all it took to defeat the White Walkers was the children of the forest, why didn't they just defeat them themselves? It makes much more sense that the children of the forest needed something that they didn't have, and that the last hero had something special that they did not. Here's what I believe is happening. All right, here we go. In the show, Bran has a vision of Leaf creating who we're led to believe is the Night's King. Now, let me stop right there real quick with that. That I have to agree with. We're not sure who exactly they have created by them. We assume that it's the Night's King, but there really isn't any evidence pointing towards it being the Night's King, because we only see the eyes change. So we don't know exactly if that's a Night's King, because all these White Walkers seem to have the same eye. You agree with that, Mojini? You.
All right. So do I agree with it? Like, which part?
Like, do you believe that when we in the show we see leaf creating what we think is the Night's King, but it's quite possible that that could not be the Night's King, because all we do see is the eyes. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. All we see are the eyes. We don't know what truly happens. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's a tough situation. We're not given enough information to go on what we want. We can speculate as much as we want. What do you think?
Yeah, I think exactly. There's no way to tell definitively. All we see is the eyes. People do assume that it's a Night's King. Why wouldn't you assume it's a Night's King? Who else would it be? Just a random White Walker? You would think it would be that she's creating a Night's King, but it could be just a random White Walker. So you really can't go anywhere else but that right there. All right, so it says here, Bran makes assumptions that he's seen the children of the forest create the White Walkers, but I believe that what he's actually seeing is the children of the forest creating the Night's King. They already made the White Walkers thousands of years ago at this point before the Pact. Now his next thing he says is the Night's King, last hero, was Stark. As such as a special and rare ability, magic of skin changing / warging, with the children of the forest, in parentheses, that they use to create the White Walkers, end parentheses, combined with the Stark magic. He is the only person capable of stopping the White Walkers. He makes the ultimate sacrifice and allows the children of the forest to transform him into the Night's King. Now, this right here is interesting in what he's saying. He's saying that this person right now is saying that he purposely became the Night's King for the children of the forest, if I am reading this correctly, for whatever reason, maybe the Pact. Is that what you believe happened here? Mojini?
Yeah, do I think they had a pact with the children of the forest?
Do you think that this person, the Night's King, gave himself up willingly to become the Night's King for the children of the forest?
Nah, most definitely not. I believe the person that the children of the forest captured was a northerner. He was a northern captain. He was probably, you remember in the Gladiator when Maximus Aurelius was on the other side of the Germanic forces, and that one Germanic dude with the axe was like their leader. You remember that?
I do.
In Gladiator, yeah, that's who the children of the forest captured. They captured the biggest, nastiest northern leader they could find to turn him into the Night's King.
So you don't
What you feeling?
So you don't think that it's quite possible that there was some type of pact, and during the pact, this was part of the pact, part of the agreement? That, hey, you gotta
Absolutely
get one
not.
of us. Right.
Absolutely not. But, well, who would make a peaceful pact and sacrifice themselves to be turned into a monster?
We're gonna get more into that a little bit later when we talk a little bit more into this theory. So it says after that, the Night's King then skin changes the White Walkers, taking control over them and marching them north. So what he's saying here is that the children of the forest have created the White Walkers already. Then they create the Night's King, who wargs the White Walkers and takes control of them and marches them north. He uses their magic to build a wall to keep the world safe on his way to the lands of always winter. It's his magic that forms the wall, the warg on the wall, and his magic that is protecting the world. So he is saying now that the Night's King walkers basically maybe after they were defeated or while they were defeated, after that they came in contact with the last hero. The last hero goes there to them, says, hey, We need to defeat the White Walkers. Gives himself up to the children of the forest to become the Night's King. After he becomes the Night's King, he wargs all the rest of the White Walkers and makes them all come back north and ends the war, and then builds the wall himself. That is what this theory is saying. What do you think about that so far?
Say that again. That after he was the Night's King, he built the wall.
Yes.
That's definitely where the theories all lie. That who really built the wall? Was it really Brandon the Builder to keep out the White Walkers, or was it the theory that I like that the Walkers and the Night's King built the wall to keep out the Northmen and the children of the forest? What if the Night's King built it so that the children of they put magic in the wall so that the children couldn't cross it, so that he could build up an army strong enough and have enough Night Walker generals, because you know he's got 13, that he could eat enough of Craster's babies to become stronger so that he could one day attack the North. That's what I think.
What up, Big E? What up, Slope? What up to everyone out there in the chat? You know, it's quite possible. You make interesting points there, but we shall see. We're almost done with this man's theory. It's not very long. We have a lot of points here, but we'll get into it more after we're done with his theory. Actually, you know, as we always do. Now,
so who do you think built the wall?
Well, I think the White Walkers built the wall, but you know, so I always thought the White Walkers built the wall. It doesn't make sense for me, you know, if I'm a fire wizard and I'm all about fire, I'm not going to build a wall of fire to stop somebody that's a fire wizard, right? You don't do that. You don't build ice to stop people who can manipulate ice in ways that humanity can't even think about. Doesn't make any sense. So I would think that there's something going on there without a doubt.
Most definitely. Most definitely. George R. R. Martin always gives you two sides of the coin. You got to look at all angles, ladies and gentlemen. People don't even know. What?
I said, me personally, I just can't. I can't buy it. I don't buy it. So far, what he's saying at this one point, I don't buy it, but we're going to keep going through it right now. Before this, at some point, he establishes there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, knowing that at some point, another skin changer will have to take his place. So what he's saying here is this. The White Walkers were already created by the children of the forest, but they had no guidance. They had no hive mind. So they created this person to have the hive mind to control the White Walkers. And because of that, that is the reason why we get the line, there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, because there's going to be someone in Winterfell that has to be a Stark to take over as the next Night's King, to control the White Walkers when they eventually break free.
What about Bloodraven? There must always be a Stark in Winterfell, but what if there must always be a Green Seer in the North? What if the Hive Mind Collective was actually created by Bloodraven?
Bloodraven is a good choice for a lot of situations. So I do believe that the children of the forest, Bloodraven, these Green Seers are dirty motherfuckers. And I do believe that they're more dirty than people think. But I don't know if he is the Night's King or if he is in control myself of the hive mind of the children of the forest.
This is the thing, man. The children of the forest and Bloodraven are supposedly working together. He's a Green Seer. The children of the forest are feeding him blood paste under that werewood tree of previous Green Seers that were children of the forest that are underneath all that werewood network. And you start wondering, so the children of the forest made the Night's King, but they're also working with this guy named Bloodraven that's a Green Seer that's pretty much manipulating all of Westeros. There's too much intertwined here, man.
There's a lot going on here. So let's finish this thing off, and then we can start getting into it a little bit. It says, at this point in the story, the Night's King magic is fading, and he knows that he must find a successor soon, or the army of the dead will unleash. He cannot keep his magical safeguards active for much longer, and he is slowly losing control over the White Walkers. Or he has completely lost his identity and is now basically just a White Walker. And then after that, he says, TLDR, the Night's King is the last hero of the tales. He is a Stark with skin-changing abilities. The children of the forest imbue him with the same magic as the White Walkers, and he skin-changed them all and marched them north, building the wall on his way. That is his story of why the last hero is the Night's King. So after hearing all that, Mo Genie, do you think this man's theory holds any weight?
The theory is a possibility, but this particular guy's theory, no, it doesn't hold up water. It doesn't have enough meat on the bones. When you have a big theory like this, you gotta have about 5 to 6 major points that add up. This guy has about what, 4? You know, it's not enough. There's not enough meat on the bones, but I definitely think it's possible that the last hero could be the Night's King. It's just that somebody else needs to take this theory over.
It's I don't think, I mean, the Night's King supposedly what, the 13th Lord Commander?
The last 13th Lord Commander.
The last hero lived during the first Night's Watch. So that's a long time to get to 13. Even if he was the first, how do you become the 13th after being the first? It's just that alone is wrong to me. He brings
what if there were many Night's Kings? Maybe there was many Night's Kings, and you know, one Night King lived during the long night. He died, and then there was another Night's King later.
You don't know that. See, so what people like to do a lot of times is they like to put things in there to fit their story, the narrative. You can only go on what we have in the books. And the Night's King that we hear of, Commander. So to say that there's another Night's King before the long night is just like me saying there was an Arya Stark or Ned Stark living there too. I just make shit up, right? You might as well just say there's a faceless man there. Now people try to hide that in the name of theory, but you have to, at least if you're making up a theory, there has to be something to have some type of weight. You just can't say something just because you feel like saying it and think it sticks. That's not the way it goes. So I can't go on the fact that there's a Night's King back then, during the first long night. I'm not saying that it's not possible that there could be, but from what I heard in the books and heard in the audios, there's nothing I see here that says that that's the Night's King that existed back then. When he uses the line that in the show they show Leaf creating the Night's King. Even if we believe that line, it's motherfucking sunny as fuck out there. In the show, it's not freezing cold out there or anything like that. It looked pretty clear when I think about that scene. See it snowy in that scene, but not during that time. That's the reason why that they created the Night's King to control the White Walkers after they already unleashed them on humanity. Why would they do that?
Somebody said something nice, something good in the comments. They said, you know, Benjen. What if Benjen could be a replacement? And somebody else also said, if the Night's King needed a Stark successor, why not just use Benjen, because he went across the lands of Always Winter? If the Night's King needed Stark blood for a particular ritual or something, why not use Benjen? If there must always be a Stark in Winterfell, if there's always got to be a Stark in Winterfell for some reason that the Night's King needs, why not just use Benjen's blood? And it's possible.
And what does that have to do with Beyond the Wall? By the time, I mean, we already see the Night's King in the show. He just crashed through the wall. So if the thing was, there was supposed to be someone in Winterfell, how would this new Night's King that was created in Winterfell be able to take over the Night's King that we see flying on this dragon's back right now? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make any sense to me. If the Night's King is the one doing all the creation of all controlling the White Walkers King, there should be no Night's King. If this theory was correct and the way he puts it down, then we wouldn't have a Night's King right now. It would just be the White Walkers, and we wouldn't need a Night's King to control the White Walkers. But we don't get that. What we have is a Night's King already that we're seeing. So we're gonna have double Night's Kings? Is this a fucking double mint twins? Is this a fucking double mint commercial mode, GB? Is that what's going on here?
It's possible. You know what? I think we could get a lot of answers if we could find out where the hell Benjen went that turned him into half walker, half normal. I want to know, did the Night's King touch Benjen the way that he touched Bran and put the mark of God, put the mark of the beast on Benjen, put the 666 on his forehead and put the mark of the beast on him?
The beast is dead. Thank God, Charles Manson. Go away.
Is Benjen the Antichrist? Is he the Antichrist?
I think it's hard to tell with Benjen in the show because we know that Cold Hands isn't Benjen in the show, right? So if we go by this theory that we've seen the Night's King in the books yet, Benjen could be the new Night's King if we go by this theory because we haven't seen Benjen yet. So you could put Benjen in that position. I think Benjen would have a better chance of being the Night's King than the last hero. You know, because if you look at Benjen, we don't know what a motherfucker that dude is at. We have no idea what happened to him. But we know from George R. R. Martin's notes that he sent his publisher, or the notes they sent him asking him a question, his editors, and he responded to them that Benjen, not Cold Hands. So we just know that that is just a show combination.
The show had to put Cold Hands and Benjen intertwined because it was the easiest way to tell the story. There was no need to add another character named Cold Hands on the show.
And if Benjen was the Night's King and you have him acting in the show, why not have that character become the Night's King? The Night's King. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you just make up a whole new character? Is Cold Hands that important? What he did for Bran, is that important? More important than him becoming the Night's King? If I was the actor who played Benjen Stark and I knew the story arc and I said, hey, I'm supposed to be the fucking main villain and you turning me into this motherfucking fire fucking flailing motherfucker that's only going to be around for fucking 2 episodes, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
That's the reason why I cannot go with that Benjen Stark being the Night's King situation at all. I think that it's a pretty well thought out theory. Let's go to the chat. Chat, if you have any questions about this theory, something you do not understand, please put it in the comment section right now. We will answer those questions. If you have a question about anything else, you can put it in there too. But basically, let's try to stick somewhat to the White Walkers, Children of the Forest type situation right there. We have Joanna K says, so if the Night's King is not looking for a successor, is he looking for a savior? Someone who can remove the glass. What do you think about that, Mo?
Is he not looking for a successor, but he's looking for a savior?
Is the Night's King a prisoner?
And he's looking to get saved from the lands of always winter?
Well, saved, maybe he could get turned back, someone to remove the glass, as she said.
That's a possibility. What if the Night's King created this half walker, half human Benjen to lead Jon Snow into the north, help Jon Snow get out of the north because Night's King has green seeing abilities and he knows the future, and this is the only way he can get saved is if the last hero or the prince that is always promised is the only one that can save the dagger out of his chest to turn him back into a human. It's possible. What if the children of the forest said when they created the Night's King, when they made the pact, that you will be a prisoner in the north as this walker thing, and only the prince that is promised can remove you from this prison. And all Jon Snow has been on the Green Seer, on the Night's King's mind this whole time.
We have to look at when we hear the Night's King, and it's very interesting for people to come up with other things. I can only go by what we have, what we know. And I'm saying Night's King, and I know you can say there's a difference between the Night's King and the Night's King. Yes, we don't. But when we look at the Night's King that we see, the 13th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, this is either a Stark or a Barrowman, right? We don't know what it is, right? So it could be anyone from in that region. So when we see him, you see that he was a human being that gave his youth to a lady White Walker and then became the Night's King, right? That's the story that we know of this man.
Belgium. Yeah.
So it's hard for me to go on anything else unless it derives from that. Unless you can come up with something that shows something else, I have to start with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely.
What up to Vo from the 518? What up to Big E? What up to Genesis out there? One of my favorite video gaming systems back in the day. I know a girl named Genesis, and my dad's a big Sega dude, and no doubt that she was named after the system. No doubt about it. And all of that. So when we deal with the Night's King real quick, let's deal with this. When we're dealing with the Night's King real quick and everything else, when I look at the situation of the children of the forest, you gotta look at the way it was all created and how it all came about and stuff, right? So first you have to look at it like this. The children of the forest signed the pact with the first, ending their war. That's how it happened. Then after that, we get the long night, right? So I'm not talking about what's in between. Obviously, we know what's in between. But I'm saying the Age of Heroes. But I'm saying the children of the forest perspective. They signed the pact. They signed the agreement. They're cool with everything. That's what the pact is all about. Then years, 1,000 years later, 100 years, or whatever, years later, then we get the long night, right? So what's going on here? To me, it's pretty obvious to see that the children of the forest were just conning the first men. They were trying to buy time, come up with something until they attacked. And I think that's exactly what they did when it went down. They attacked then. They created the White Walkers to attack mankind. We then get the last hero, who does find the children of the forest, and then they save them. And I think that they just wanted to be the saviors. They wanted to look like the heroes who saved mankind. They didn't tell them, hey, we created these guys to defeat you. They held that a secret. They just told you this is what you have to do to defeat them. And obviously they would know because they created them. So I don't think it would be that hard for them to tell you exactly how to defeat them. I don't think it would take a Stark from Winterfell with walking abilities, we have no proof that the last hero had any type of walking abilities at all from anything we've ever read. So that is just all hypothetical, just thoughts that someone is just throwing out there because they fits their theory. Hey, he had walking ability because he was a Stark. How many Starks do we see with walking abilities? Not many. I mean, yes, we see Bran and we see Arya and Jon Snow, so that does sound like a lot when that's a current story. But throughout the histories, we don't hear about none of these other motherfuckers doing anything. This just happens to be a special time. So I just don't think that just because you're a Stark automatically means you're going to have all this walking ability 100%. It could be a Reed. We know that they have interbred with the children of the forest. So why wouldn't it be someone like that? Why else would it just be a Stark? So that's dicey in itself. A pretty good theory, but not that good. I just think, to me personally, that the children of the forest played the long game, created the White Walkers. They let man get almost wiped out, and then they saved man. And I think what happened is the children of the forest can see the future. And while they were wiping out mankind and they almost had them, they seen something in the future that said, oh shit, we're not going to be able to control these people. We're going to need mankind's help in the future. So we better help them defeat these motherfuckers right now. And that's exactly what happened. And thank you for my man AU Pack Mule for the super chat donation of 10 beans, brother. The Don does appreciate that. Mo Genie, what do you say?
Dude, what I'm thinking is, let's look at all the packs that have been made. Okay? I only know of one. If we're talking about packs in the north, right? What other pact in the north was made? The only other pact in the north that I can think of that was made was the Greyjoys in the rebellion, the Greyjoy rebellion. The Starks beat them, Ned beat them, and at the end of that rebellion, the Greyjoys had to give a ward to the Starks to make sure the Greyjoys never rose up again. Now that's a northern custom to take a ward. All right, now I'm asking you, did the children of the forest and whoever they made that pact with, did they get a ward? I don't know. What do you think, man? Let's go full tinfoil.
I think that's a good point. We have seen, especially in Westeros, and different deals that are made, that usually we get some type of switch of kids to keep the other people safe. It's quite possible that sounds much better than what we just read. But I just don't know, because I think that we wouldn't get the Age of Heroes. I don't know what they would have had to give up. You know what I mean? So I just think that I don't know if that would be it, because we get the Age of Heroes, we get all this growth and expansion from the first minute after all this stuff goes down. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it exactly would have went down like that. Thank you, AU Pack Mule. I got love for you too, brother. No doubt about it. Oh, for all my people out there who watch us now, watch us later, chill with the Don Tony Teflon Mo Genie, Teflon TV, man. You know how we do. We talking about these theories right here, and you know, and it's been good. And to me, I just have to think that I can't really go with it, but I'm going to have to ask the people in the chat. You've heard the theory. Do you believe that the last hero is the Night's King? Let me know. I'll read it out in the chat. I'll read it out. I'll read it out from the chat. I'm reading it out in the chat. Like I'm stuck in the chat like I'm fucking trying or something. I got sucked into this motherfucker.
Yeah, y'all let us know what you think. Whatever questions y'all have about the Night's King or anything in the North, we'll try to break it down. We just think that this theory is not fully drawn out enough of where this guy's trying to get his point across. That's all.
You know, maybe someone else could flesh it out a little bit more. Maybe it is fleshed out a little bit more somewhere else, but timing doesn't work for me with it right there. AU Pack News says, I think the Night's King now is a child of the original Night's King.
That's what we were talking about earlier, that when we said that the 13th Lord Commander became the Night's King, but what if there was a Night King before that that fought with the last hero in the Age of Heroes? It's a possibility. And then he had a son who became the 13th Lord Commander, and then became the Night. He fulfilled his destiny of his father and became the Night's King.
Brenda Starr says, why would the first men agree to a pact they could easily kill the children unless they were being slaughtered by the whites?
Because the whites were basically the children of the forest's nuclear weapon. The children of the forest had a trick up their sleeve. They had an ace up their sleeve that the first men couldn't beat. The first men were defeating the children of the forest quite easily until the children of the forest brought out the nuclear weapon. And then that made the Northmen surrender or come to do the pact.
But the pact was before that. They signed the pact first. After they fought for a little while, then they signed the pact. After they signed the pact, then the Age of Heroes, then the Long Night comes. After that. So
Yeah.
after they signed the pact and they agreed to chill and they split, the Long Night comes after that.
So
the children,
the Northmen were defeating the children easily. What made them come sit at the table and do a peaceful pact?
That's a more interesting question. I wouldn't know. Maybe it was more of a stalemate than we know. Maybe they didn't want to fight anymore. So we don't know exactly how easily they were defeating them. We know they were defeating them, but we don't know how many casualties they were taking. I'm sure they were taking a lot. But I do believe they were getting the upper hand of it.
Okay. This is another thing. Somebody asked earlier, what happened to Craster's daughters? Really, we need to find out, when did Craster have this pact with the White Walkers to give all his sons to them? How was that pact created? Because that's another pact in the North, ladies and gentlemen. Other than the Greyjoy Rebellion, the other pact in the North was Craster giving his sons to the White Walkers, Teflon.
That is a pact. We don't know exactly how Craster came up with that deal. It could be as simply as he's seen the White Walkers. It seems like they were out there for a very long time. It doesn't seem like they just started with Craster. It seems like they were there for a while. He could have been scared to death, and he could have just left one of his male sons out there, just like maybe if you've seen a motherfucking lion stalking around your fucking house. Or just like let's go into something different. Let's go into Nettles, how she got sheep stealing, right? She didn't have any blood that we know of. It's quite possibly she does, but she just was basically, she didn't know that if she did, she was just feeding sheep. It could have just been something like that, like he's feeding his sheep, but instead of the sheep, it's his male sons, and they took it and said, okay. And he said, hey, that shit worked. And it could be something like that. This is simple as that. Something he just happened to try and just happened to work.
It definitely did. It definitely worked. Will George R. Martin ever spill the beans about Craster? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know, because Craster is dead now. And the only people alive that would, fulfill the pact, to tell us how the pact was done, would be the White Walkers. The White Walkers obviously can't talk. We don't know their language. We don't know how they communicate. We probably will never find out how Craster made the pact.
Yeah, the Don Tony Teflon I told you a long time ago. Came up with the theory. Had my man Don the Crockett with my man Don Willie in the video with me. That Craster is the kid of Blood Raven. Right? It came up with that a long time ago. Please check out that video if you were worried, if you want to know it, it's called the White Walker's Monster. And I still believe myself that Gilly's baby is the Night's King for them. We haven't seen the books. That's why they're chasing him, that he will be the Night's King for them when it's all said and done. That's what I think is going down there. So,
ooh, I love that theory. Out of all the Game of Thrones theories, that's the one I love the most. That's like in my top 3 Game of Thrones YouTuber theories, man.
I appreciate that. I really do. I was very nervous when I put that out because I thought people would think I was crazy, and they said I was crazy too. But hey, a lot of people jumped on the wagon after the wagon was rolling, and a lot of people just came up with it on their own, I'm sure, after doing a lot of research. And you know what George R. R. Martin says about research? I'll give you an exact quote what he says about research. He says, if you take from one person, it's called stealing, plagiarism. But if you take from many people, it's called research. And I do a lot of research. And I think a lot of YouTubers do a lot of research too. Straight up, straight up. So as always, we're going to try to keep this, you know, we do the long streams. We are known for that, for the 2-3 hour stuff like that. But we are only going to try to keep these streams to an hour 15, a little bit around there, maybe an hour and a half. So we're going to take questions right now. Alric76 says maybe the Night's King uses telepathy to communicate. I would think it's a definitely type situation like that, some type of hive mind situation going on there. And they do have a language that we know. The White Walkers do have a language, so I'm sure he connects to the White Walkers through the language. But with the whites, I do believe that it's definitely some type of hive mind situation.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I mean, we know that the White Walkers communicate with each other because in book 1 of A Game of Thrones, the prelude, the first paragraph into the story, when the deserters of the Night's Watch come into the north and they're found by Eddard Stark and his boys, you know, that's when the Starks found the dire wolves in the snow and all that. But a little bit before that, the night, they weren't deserters at that point, but the Night's Watch men went into the woods to go check out some stuff, and apparently then they got ambushed by the walkers, and they could hear them talking in a beautiful language, etc., etc. That's the only time George R. R. Martin's ever mentioned that they could talk.
No doubt. And he said right here, Tyrion Landstar Jr. Landstar says, so Craster would be Bloodraven's son? Yes, Craster would be Bloodraven's son. Take a look at that video. I break it down. The link is in the description. Just about in every video I do, that's the link I put in every description, because that's the theory I'm probably most proud of that I came up with. So, yeah, take a look in that one right there. And Craster knew Bloodraven was out there with the children the whole time. You know, it wouldn't. No, Craster knew that Bloodraven was out there with the children. I don't think he has to know that. I'm not going to go too much into the theory. Check out that video, but I do explain to you exactly why he would know. Why Craster doesn't need to know that Bloodraven's his father in order for him to make a pact with the White Walkers. As I said, it's quite possible he stumbled upon that, just like with the sheep stealer situation. It just happened to fucking work. So he said, hey, let me have another baby. Let me have another male baby. Let me see, and let me keep putting them out there. Shit that protected me. And this is keeping everybody, all the other wildlings, from assaulting me. But it's very odd when you look at the situation that in dealing with Craster, that Bloodraven would directly get involved in the books of the killing of the mutineers. Why wouldn't he be mad? Why wouldn't he be happy that Craster is dead? If Bloodraven was the person that hates the White Walkers, this is the guy that's providing the White Walkers, providing the army that would, no, not just White Walkers. You should celebrate that this man was killed. But instead, when Cold Hands is attacking these guys and killing them, you see Bloodraven, you see that the crows and the ravens are pecking the eyeballs out of these mutineers. That's him directly getting involved. We don't hear him directly get involved in anything else. So why all of a sudden he's directly
and Cold Hands is working for Bloodraven at this point. We know Cold Hands is working for him. And so we know that they both hated the mutineers for what they did. Does that mean that the Blood Raven is still human? Does he still have a heart? Does he still love the Night's Watch? Because you just said he got involved with them with the crows pecking out their eyes. Mm-hmm. Did he still have a soft spot for the Night's Watch?
Well, if he did, then why would he kill the Night's Watchman? That's who he was killing, the mutineers. So he could be mad that
because they were mutineers. He was mad at them for disobeying their vows.
He could be that is. I cannot deny that Blood Raven quite possibly could have said, "Hey, let me get involved for these guys for messing up their vows." That is quite possible that he could have that type of affinity towards the Night's Watch. We don't hear anything about him having that much truly affinity that he would want to do that. But it's quite possible that that is the case, that it could be that without a doubt. But it seems personal, like when you stab somebody, when you hear stabbing or someone shooting someone, right? But it's a love of passion, a crime of passion. When someone stabs someone, when someone gets up close and personal with you like that, it's personal, and he wants to take this stuff out. So it seems personal to me, the way he got involved in that situation. I don't believe it is a Night's Watch situation that he felt that connected to the one Night's Watch at this particular time in his decayed form, that he is basically not only a tree, that he must kill this man. You know what I mean?
He could have just used the crows to swoop down on the mutineers and distract them. He could have just had them pecking at their eyes or just flapping their wings and distracting them. No, he had those crows pecking their eyeballs. That's deadly.
Personal. And when you look at personal situations and you look at personal things, crimes of passion, it's always up close and personal, knife stabbings and things like that. So it could be anyway like that. At least you can say I think Danny definitely had psychic connections with her dragons. I would think it's in the show that you would think it would have to be some type of what
in the show. In the show, it's definitely telepathy. Remember the pit? Remember when she closed her eyes when the harpies were about to throw their swords at her, and she closed her eyes and boom, Drogon came out of nowhere. That was telepathy.
All right, so Joanna K says, could the Night's King have been warging the crows in order to protect his supply of babies? So he's saying that this is not Blood Raven warging the crows, that was actually the Night's King warging the crows.
That's a good question.
I mean, in all honesty, I gotta think.
That's a good question. That's a hell of a question.
That's a very good question. Very good fucking question right there. You're making me have to think here while I'm drinking. I
love it. I love it.
Jesus Christ. That's a good question. I'm going to give you an answer, though. It's not going unnoticed. Let's read the question again. You gotta go back to that to that old game show situation. Read the question again so you can come up while you think about your answer. So the question is, could the Night's King have been warging the crows in order to protect his supplies of babies? I cannot say that he couldn't be. But the only thing I could say is that at that point in the book, we are not really introduced to a Night's King. We don't see a Night's King. Right? So it's possible that there's a Night's King in the Lands of Always Winter that we don't know about at that particular time that is warging the crows. But when we look at the situation, we see Cold Hands, and we know the crows that have already been rolling around with Cold Hands was Blood Raven's crows, right? So for them to switch over to the Night's King's crows without even being introduced to the Night's King in the book at this point would seem a little bit dicey. But I'm not saying it's not possible.
He could have enough power to do that.
I would think it would just be an easier flow to the story. It would be very confusing. He's grown and they're over there, so why not just have them be walked by the same person?
He definitely could be a strong enough green seer to do that, because controlling birds is not that difficult. It's not like a human. It's not like when Bran was trying to control Hodor and it was a little hard.
But then I think you would have to say he would have to then kick Bloodraven out of them too.
He could be a strong enough green seer to kick Bloodraven out. Bloodraven's been green seeing for like 100 years. Night's King could have been green seeing for 1,000, maybe 2,000.
No doubt.
Am I right or am I wrong?
We just gotta look for he says, George says no Night's King in the books. I don't know that quote from George. I've never heard him say that. I'm not doubting you, saying that it's not true. But
no, there's definitely a Night's King in the books. I don't know where you got that from.
I guess he's saying I don't know what he's saying. That maybe there won't be any new Night's King. We already know that there was a Night's King, 13th Lord Commander. And we know that there was a Night's Queen.
And shout out to Alicia. Alicia just said the Night's King had enough power to knock out Bran out of the Ravens in the show, if you remember that, Teflon. So D&D had to have gotten that from somewhere.
But did he? But what I'm saying, or I'll say to AK at this particular point is that what happened? Is that what we've seen? I don't know if that's what we've seen. All we've seen was Bran flying overhead and the Night's King look up and then Bran come out of the birds. Was Bran scared? Because
you definitely saw magic.
Seen him, and after he's seen him, he pulled himself out himself because of his fear of the Night's King? Or
was he scared?
Or did the Night's King take over the birds? We didn't see the birds like take over, the eye change or swoop or go a different direction. You know, so
no, the eyes definitely changed. The eyes was white, and then he came out of it.
Oh yes, we seen it change back to regular, but we didn't see it change to something else.
True.
You know, so that would be the problem that I would see if it went down like that.
All I would say is Night's King has been green seeing for a long time. Bloodraven's been only green seeing for 100.
No doubt about it. But the way they uploaded it to Bran, the way they try to put it to you, that Bran should be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than Bloodraven. I'm telling you, it's a possibility that Bran is gone. I did a video on it. Bran is not Bran anymore. When you see someone get warged, you see their eyes turn. The last time you see Bloodraven, you see his eyes turn and he makes Bran's eyes turn. There's a possibility that Bran is Bloodraven, that Bloodraven warged Bran and took him over.
But wasn't Bran more powerful than the Bloodraven? Could he allow Bloodraven to take over his living conscience? Conscience.
I'm saying he was not more powerful than Bloodraven. I can't see him. He didn't even know what the fuck he was doing with half his shit, Bran.
He eventually learned though.
Yeah, he didn't really learn. They were feeding him weirwood paste, and then he was opening up. So just him opening up, I can't say he was more powerful than someone who's been sitting on that throne for fucking years and years and years. You know what I mean? So even though in his decrepit form, I would still have to think that Bloodraven was more powerful than Bran was. You know, I know people, it's kind of like a Star Wars situation. When you say, who is the most powerful Jedi of all time? Who is the most powerful Force user of all time? A lot of people want to say Luke Skywalker. And he quite possibly could be.
Nope. It was the guy. It was the guy who taught. It was the guy who taught Obi-Wan Kenobi. He was the strongest.
Yoda?
No. The other dude, the long-haired dude in episode 6, the newer episodes.
Is that Qui-Gon Jinn? Is that what?
Yeah, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, it could be Quiet John Jinn, you know, but that's what people would normally go with, someone like Luke Skywalker or something like that. So I don't know. You know what I mean? It's hard to say exactly, but I can't think of you know, Star Wars fucked up though. You see Rey kick the shit out of Kylo Ren. She has no training at all. I don't want to get into that right now. We're talking Game of Thrones. But I can't believe that Bran is more powerful than Blood Raven. I would have to think that Blood Raven is more powerful than Bran at that particular time. I'm not saying he couldn't eventually get there, but at that particular time in his life, I think that Blood Raven was more powerful.
The pupil has surpassed the teacher, Teflon.
And we didn't see. Usually, when that happens, the pupil gets his ass kicked first, right? You never see the pupil come in there right off the bat and kick the master's ass, right? He usually comes back after training, after getting his ass kicked, and then he does that.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be a first time off the bat, all of a sudden, Bran, barely knowing how to use his walking abilities and skin changing green sight and everything else, all of a sudden he could just take over Blood Raven's brain and just hold that down. I would think it would be more like the other way around.
Most definitely.
You know, we got another question here. Joanna, Joanna be jumping them off. I'm scared to read. I'm scared to read Joanna's questions. I gotta read Joanna's questions when I'm doing like the 1 o'clock screens when I'm not drinking. But let's go through it though, Joanna. Okay. So if Bran is now the Blood Raven, does that make him powerful enough to warg the White Dragon or any dragon? I could deal with that one much better. So, Bo, let me go to you. If Bran was the Blood Raven, would that make him be able to warg a dragon?
Most definitely. You can do anything. You can warg a human. You can do anything. I mean, at this point, if it is the Blood Raven, he's strong enough to do whatever he wants. The dude's been doing this for a long time. Even Bran can do it. So if Bran can warg humans, he can warg dragons.
No doubt about it. I think we definitely have to see some type of warging of a dragon. If you're going to have, right, the ability to warg, which is the ability to take over someone's body or creature's body, and then you're going to have an ultimate creature like a dragon, why would you introduce one if it's not going to happen to the other? You know what I mean? So there's no way around that has to happen. So especially when you see the Night's King doing it to a dead dragon. So there's no way the heroes aren't going to be able to do it. Now, you may want to say that the connection, I'm not going to say it, but I've heard other people say that the connection to the Targaryens could be a form of warging blood situation, and that is why they are connected. It could be some Avatar shit without the hair sticking into the other hair.
Blood Raven told him, "You will fly one day." Now, did that mean he would fly across the lands, warging into different animals and different things as a green seer, or would he one day actually fly? That is the riddle.
You never walk again. You never walk again, but you will fly. So you could look at it as he is flying in crows and ravens a billion times already. You know, so he's already done that.
Exactly.
So, I would think if that's the case, most likely we're going to get something bigger. We have to get him walking into some type of dragon. There's no way around that's going to go down. What up to my man Clay motherfucking Springer? Have not seen him in a while in the chat, hanging out. Do speak to him on a personal level and all that. But what up, brother? Miss you out here. Glad you are back, hanging out and everything else. Definitely, without a doubt. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm gonna go through it. I don't know if people believe that this is real or anything like that, but Mo G, What do you say about this? What do you say about this? Do you think the last king, the last hero, is the Night's King?
I'm gonna have to say no. There's not enough meat on the bones, like I said before. It just doesn't have enough points. And that's what it is, man. That's what it is.
I'm with you on that 100%. I don't see it being possible. If anyone does see it being possible, and there's for some reason I'm leaving something out or wasn't put in this person's Reddit post, and you feel, please put it in the chat and I mean in the description. Put it in the motherfucking comment section, goddammit. And we will talk about it because I always comment and let's talk to your comments. Let's vote. Stacy L says, before we go, we shall vote. Yay or nay? Do you believe this theory or not? JW Flex, Mojini, you want to read these out or do you want me to do it?
Go ahead, you can read it.
JW Flux says, no. Stacy L says, no. Alicia Kingston says, ha ha ha. Jasmine B says, nah. TV. Theo says, nah. Alicia Keeson says, nay. Lynn Haiti says, no. Edward Blanco says, nay. We have a bunch more coming. I'm reading. Cherry Osoka, what a beautiful name that is, says, yay. She's a believer. That's the first believer we got. Joanna K says, bad theory. And she says, bad theory. Tyrion Landstark Jr. says, could Rob Starks have bastards that was Theon's at the brothels? Who knows? Method Maven says, what a great name that is. No, Holmes. And I got to go with you on that. Lucid Mafia says, nay. Slope says, flush this motherfucker in the toilet right now. Flush it. This is a very popular theory that was on Reddit. You know, these guys are considered like, you put yourself on Reddit, people think that like they know everything, these people and stuff like that. They're so smart. But I think that since we've been doing this, we haven't heard anything, not even anything close to them being right so far. Brenda Starr says, no. Not at all. Arak 76 NK equals Brand the Building / the last hero. He says, yay. Aldrich 76. So we have 2 yays, and everything else that we've seen was a goddamn nay. Thrones Volume says a negative. So it doesn't seem looking good for this theory, Mo. I think it was, it's decent. It's well put together. I understand what he's saying, but I think he's overlooking a lot of critical evidence that points to that this theory not being true. That's what I would have to say about this theory and stuff. So thank you to everybody in the chat. But before we go, I would like to ask you, Teflon TV, we pull the strings, we set the trends. Rep your hood. If you could, before we go, please put where you are from, so I can tell the people, let the people know that we are worldwide on Teflon TV, and we could definitely get this in. And I will shout out where you are from, shout out your hometown. You know what it is, Don Tony Teflon, Queens, New Yorker, smooth motherfucker talker. Mojini, where you from? Rep your hood.
From DC, baby. VA, baby. MD, baby.
Stacy L. Rockwell, Texas. Cherry Os. I'm messing up her name. I said it great before. Philadelphia. Cherry, Philadelphia. See, oh, it's so cool. When you say that, rep your hood, it goes so fast. Cherry, Philadelphia. We got Dallas. We got Jasmine B from Charlotte. J. Lachelle 3 from Dallas. Theo Varance from Houston, Jasmine B, Charlotte. We got JW Flux, Cleveland, Alicia Kingston, Brooklyn, by the way of Gagne, baby, New York for life. Slope and Auburn, Michigan, by the way of Cali, Mojini, VA, Lucius Mafia, Japan. What up to all my people out there? I got my man, Jeff Smith is an interpreter for the United Nations for Japan out there. Black man. representing out there, interpreter for the Japanese, and the Japanese language knows it so well. That's my brother out there. Check him out, and if you do check him out, tell him Tony Teflon the Don said what up. I guarantee he'll say that's my brother for real, for real. You know what I mean? We got Benjen Stark, Cleveland, and Ohio. Quentin Gilliam, East Baltimore. Born in Yonkers, New York, baby. And you know the mother hard niggas, man, that come from Yonkers. That's the bottom line, man. AU Pack Mule, repping Seattle. You know what I mean? The Don of Ice Inspire. Brooklyn, baby. Brooklyn, baby. Brooklyn's finest, the Brooklyn Don. We doing this in here, you know what I mean? That's how we do. There's a lot of people out here. St. Louis, Joanna K. That is where she got her Nelly on. Happy Thanksgiving to all y'all. Maybe, you know, in case we get you before that, but happy Thanksgiving to everybody out here. You know what I mean? R76 Miami, Florida, but lives in Charleston, West Virginia right now. You know what I mean? Happy Thanksgiving. Hope you get the chance to spend it with your family, the people you love, and your friends. Hope you get to eat some collard greens. Put a little vinegar on there and a little hot sauce for the Don. You know what I mean? Mojini, happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. Stockton, bitch. We got that from Kevin Gonzalez. Mojing, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours and stuff like that. Hope maybe you get back on here.
You too, brother. You too. Make sure you fill that belly up, man.
No doubt. Got to get that going. You know what I mean? So maybe we'll be able to get back out here before that, before it all jumps over, everything like that. But if we don't, you know what I mean? Teflon TV, we definitely drop on a lot of videos. So if you like the way we do this, please thumbs up this, please spread this across the realm, and please subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace! And stay sexy.